Michael. We are live. How are you doing today? We are back into our studio. Look how great it looks. Perfect.
Wait, do we have internet connectivity today?
We are back in Thailand, so now internet is amazing. It's fast, it's stable. We won't have any more problems. You look great, Michael. You're not pixelized anymore.
Maybe
Everything's
sometimes I
good.
look better pixelated. I was the crowd would probably say that that was the case, but what
I
are you
think
going to do?
that's what they said, right? I think
They did.
that's
That
a
was the
lot of you
feedback
said
we got. Oh my God, he's so much better looking pixelated.
it. We are so mean now, Michael. You look better right now.
I feel a lot better too, Martin. Look, let's welcome everybody here. Hello,
Yes.
everybody, and welcome to AGTP Daily. As you know, we go live every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time to discuss the most important tech stories in the United States. Today is Monday,
Yes, Monday.
the 18th of May, Martin, 2026. Let's get right to it. A few topics to discuss today. Is Tesla getting killed in China?
Hmm.
Or is it just more nuanced than that? I don't know. We'll find out. Did Google help Apple sell 1 million MacBook Neos?
That an interesting headline.
It is. Like, what's a Google book? Do you know? And we spent so much time talking about like there are going to be new jobs created by AI companies, and now we may find out actually what some of those jobs are. So that I thought was pretty interesting. We'll end with that today. Yeah.
Let's go. Sounds like a great lineup of topic.
I think so. So look, Tesla fell out of China's top 10 new electric vehicle retail sales ranking in April 2026.
Oh, what top 10? So
Fell out
which
of the
means,
top 10. Yeah, not out of the top 5. Fell out of the top 10. I thought that was actually really interesting.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
it's a rhetorical question. You don't have to guess, but I'm sure you could guess who number one was.
BYD.
You got it.
Okay.
And there was a time, Martin, where I thought BYD stood for Build Your Dolphin.
Million dolphin.
Yeah, because it stands for Build Your Dreams, right? But one of their
Yeah.
cars, they name all their cars for some reason in this series, like after sea animals.
Okay. Yeah, you had the sea lion,
Sea lion,
dolphin.
and they do have a BYD Dolphin. So for some reason, my brain just combined the BYD with the car name, and I thought it was
Okay.
Build Your Dolphin.
Okay.
I'm like, that's not true. I actually told that to Kyla, and Kyla was like, I don't think that's true, Michael. She was right.
That's
Anyway,
funny.
BYD was number one,
Okay.
and we always talk about directionality, and I think that directionally, I think this is actually really important.
Yes.
But as I mentioned during the intro, like the real story is more nuanced. So, but I do think it's important here. Tesla's, and I want to give some facts in a second, right? Tesla's domestic China retail sales were weak,
Ouais.
and we have to point to say again,
Do you mean
they just
Tesla
were
domestic retail in the US?
in China.
Oh, in China, okay.
In China, and Tesla does do manufacturing in China. They do some joint venture manufacturing in China. We'll get to that in a second too.
Okay.
But its Shanghai wholesale export numbers were much stronger because a large share of the production that they do is gets shipped overseas.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a little bit more nuanced. But let me give some underlying facts here, if you don't mind. Tesla's China retail sales in April were 25,956 units. That's down almost 10%.
Okay.
Year on year, and down over 53% from March.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and remember, China is the largest EV market in the world.
Yes.
So it's out that leaves it outside the top 10 retail brands in China, and NIO, which I think we see actually driving around the road in Bangkok. Yeah,
Okay. Maybe.
I think they make these little cute cars. They were number 10 with 29,312 units. So BYD was number one. They sold 182,000 units rounded, and they have a 21% share. I know, it's funny, right? In China, despite their own sales being down 32.3% year on year.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
and again, just to give you a sense who the top 10 brands are: BYD, Geely, Chang'an, Leapmotor, Xiaomi. This I thought was actually really interesting.
Yeah. We don't talk too much about Xiaomi as a car company, but they're in the top 10. They sell more car than Tesla. That's interesting.
Yeah, and can I point this out too? Remember, Xiaomi was basically a company, not like they were making electronics and electronic components, and then they were like, their CEO literally started dressing in jeans and like a black mock not tank top, turtleneck,
Okay.
literally copying Steve Jobs.
Okay.
And they came out with a bunch of products that looked like iPhones and that looked like iPad, all this kind of stuff that they were doing. And then they kind of branched out into other consumer electronics. And
Yes.
when Apple was trying to build a car, They decided we're going to build an electric car, and they actually did. And now they're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're top 5.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's impressive.
I thought
Hmm.
it was super impressive, but it also makes me wonder, like, what could Apple do if they actually put their mind to it? If Xiaomi can do it,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? What can Apple do it anyway? So then there's Sherry and a bunch of other brands that I haven't heard of, ending with Neo. Tesla was below that entire group.
Okay. Well,
Now
that's
remember,
interesting.
Tesla essentially invented this space.
Yes, and they were so much ahead of everybody. Like when did they start selling Tesla? In 2011, 2012, something like that? In the early
It was
2010s,
it
right?
was before I moved to Thailand. Because I
Okay,
remember the
so
first Tesla models, the early test kind of Tesla models I saw in
mhm,
Japan.
okay. Okay, okay, okay. So
Yeah, and they were little Sportster models. I can't remember the name of the Lotus. I think they kind of licensed the Lotus brand and they put electric motors in them.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
okay,
was
okay.
kind of the beginning of it. And here's what's even weirder. They were still number 5 for January to April 2026 in China NEV sales with 138,754 units and a 5% share. So April looks bad,
Hmm, hmm.
but it's not yet 100% proof that Tesla has structurally collapsed in China.
Okay.
But I do think that just we'll get to some other issues in a second, but what do you think? Like, I think that's actually super interesting that it kind of fell off a cliff, and that's why I did that.
I think to me this is another example that Tesla hasn't been. Like, I mean, they were the first mover globally in the EV markets, right? Like maybe there was other brand, maybe they were like more like other companies trying to do something, but we don't know about them because Tesla was really the first giant big car company that was selling cars like all over the world and selling electric cars. And back in the early 2010s, they looked so much ahead of absolutely everybody, right? Like I remember like when I was in France at that time, like they were trying to do electric cars like the French car manufacturer. They had like one or two cars that were good, but they never succeeded to sell as many cars as what Tesla has been able to do, right? Like they looked so much ahead of everybody, and then somehow they stopped innovating, right? Like they just stopped innovating. They stopped doing some new stuff. They stopped being successful. So I don't know if it's them who collapsed or the others who got better, or like maybe a mix of both.
Yeah,
But it looks to me that the same Tesla that we are buying right now are really similar to the Tesla that were like launched 10 years ago. There was not much evolution, and then it just left a huge space in the market. So I don't know what happened to them, but they went from number one and then they still, nothing else. And then it just let a lot of possibilities to the others. That's how I feel about it.
so I thought it was kind of interesting. I
Hmm.
remember when the Model 3 was introduced. I remember when the Model S was introduced. I remember, and it was just like, wow, these are the coolest cars in the whole world.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Do
super
you know what I
cool.
mean?
Super
They
cool,
were
super cool.
super cool, and you're like,
Yeah,
this is like driving a car from the future. And now I
yeah,
kind of feel like when I see a Tesla on the road,
yeah,
and I do see them,
yeah.
I feel kind of bad for the owner. Like, you could
It's
have
true.
bought a BYD instead.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Like 10 years ago, you had a Tesla. It was like, wow, so cool. And now, when you go inside a Tesla or inside the BYD, it's night and day, right? Like when you go into the BYD, it's so much more beautiful. It's so much more advanced. It looks like the car of the future, right?
It did.
And Tesla looks like the car of the past, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, the model does the
yeah.
Model 3 to you and even the Model S. I think my brother drives the Model S. I don't know.
Okay.
Um, but like, does it look any different than it did to you like when it was launched?
Exactly. Yeah. That's it. Exactly. Like what happened to them, right? Why they
I don't
were
know.
dominant and they completely stopped, right? I really
Yeah, don't
wonder.
know.
Yeah.
And let's dig a little bit deeper into this. Like, are they actually
Mhm,
losing in China
mhm.
in like for the stuff, particularly that they're manufacturing in China, or did April kind of exaggerate this? And let's just go through this. Tesla's retail number was bad, right? We already said like
Yes.
25,956 cars. It's down. It's bad for them. But their Shanghai factory, it wasn't doing nothing, apparently.
Okay.
That's why I said it was slightly nuanced.
Okay.
April wholesale sales
Okay.
were 79,000 odd. So 79,000 and a bit more. And that's up nearly 36% year on year because over 53,000 vehicles were actually exported.
Okay.
Now, you have to ask yourself, it's like, Tesla is increasingly using China as an export base while domestic China competition gets harder. Right. So that's the thing you have to ask yourself. And it's interesting, right? Because the headline is always going to be Tesla falls out of China's top 10. You know what I mean? And I think this gets back to what fundamentally what like mainstream media does.
Yes.
Is they're trying to scare people. And that's why I said at the beginning, like I have the headline there. It is true that their domestic sales are off, but it is much more nuanced than that. Yeah. Anyway, the bigger strategic risk for them is mixed concentration.
Okay.
Like if you really want to get into the details here, Model Y was 88% of their April China retail sales. Model 3 fell 66%. And Model 3 is like their most reasonably priced car. That's like the car that everybody drives.
Yes.
You know, the S is for the S, the Model S would be, and the Model Y is like for dentists and doctors. The Model 3 is just for like regular people.
Okay.
And they only sold 2,966 of them in April.
That's really
in
small.
China.
That's really small.
That's into the
really,
world's
really
biggest EV market.
Yeah. Yeah, but like so okay, so maybe the export are good, but where do they export them? It's
Well,
not
that's
in
the
Europe.
question. I don't know yet, right?
Yeah. I mean the only market where we can sell them is in the US. That's the only one. Because the US people they can't buy the Chinese vehicles. So
They can if they cross the border into Mexico, right?
Yeah.
And then drive them home. We already talked about that a little bit. But here, this is interesting. This means that like Tesla China, the company that sells cars into the retail market in China, is just heavily dependent on one aging volume product against the market. This is what we talk about, right? Against the market of much newer, cheaper, and faster iterating and refreshing competitors. That's the thing, right? And you and I talk about this all the time with Tesla. It's like they're not iterating at all.
They are not
Like, what they do with their design team?
Exactly. What is happening? Maybe they are all gone, you know? Like maybe they
They went home, they're all working for Geely or something. Who knows, right?
I mean, like, look, Michael, we have somebody in the chat who tell us Elon's game plan is more geared towards space, energy generation, robotics, and singularity than just EV.
He's right, though.
Maybe that's possible, you know, like maybe that's possible. Maybe like just like the focus of the company just switched, right? And like maybe like Elon was like, you know, like we did something good with Tesla, with EVs, but I see something way larger than, you know, with all the new stuff that he's working on. Then let's just pull all the resources that we have with Tesla to just do something big. Let's just do something way bigger and not probably too much about the cars. Maybe they just gave up themselves, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So one of the things that I looked into actually when I was doing the research for this segment was, is Tesla part of this SpaceX XAI company?
Yeah.
And it's not.
Okay.
But Tesla itself, as an independent entity, invested $2 billion in that entity.
Okay.
So they do have upside there, but it does feel like they've kind of given up, doesn't it?
It feels like they completely given up. You know, like maybe like Elon Musk and the management at Tesla, they probably have way more information than us, even though we are close, right? Well, we have a lot of information as well.
Yeah.
But maybe he saw like 10 years ago that the US couldn't compete with the Chinese, you know, and he was like, you know what, let's just give up now, basically, you know, and let's just put our resources into something that we can do, we can compete on. I wouldn't be surprised that he saw, you know, the BYD and the investment from the Chinese government and into all of these things, and he was just like, there's no way we can compete at scale. They are just going to be such a hard competitor to deal with, that maybe we are better putting our resources into the next big thing, basically, and not trying to fight with them.
But it would be sorry, it would be a historical anomaly, okay, for a car company to just go, we're not interested in making cars anymore.
Yeah, it would be.
Well, to be fair, there is an American car company that did do this.
Okay, which one?
Ford
did that? Okay.
Yeah, they stopped making cars.
Okay. But
they make trucks.
Okay.
They make F-150s, they make trucks. Their whole business is now trucks. That was their most profitable sector. But they used to make like the Ford Taurus and the Ford this and the Ford that. I think they may make a Mustang because that's kind of like their flagship thing. You can't stop making the Mustang, although they did for years.
Okay.
But they literally stopped being a car company and turned into a truck company.
Yeah. So
there is historical precedent for it, but it's not normal.
Yeah, it's not normal for sure. But is Musk doing anything normal, right? Like everything he does is a little bit crazy, right? So I
I mean,
wouldn't be surprised.
I
I
wouldn't be
wouldn't be
surprised either.
surprised.
But
Plus,
here's
like,
sorry, go ahead.
like one more example, like the Cybertruck is a complete flop, right?
Yeah, complete.
Just why did this thing just ever existed, right? Like the entire thing makes no sense from
No,
the design of the car to
no.
the demo when you say, look, like it was like bulletproof or stuff, something like that, and then himself he just break the window, right? And then like then there was people like then no wait, then they did like a pre-launch where you had to do just a deposit, but there were no like no no dates, and I don't even know if they delivered all the Cybertruck, but it was like super delayed. Like so many people just did pay the deposit and there's never got their car still, I think, right now. And how many Cybertruck have you seen in the street, Michael? I've never seen one like
In
a
Bangkok.
single time. I mean,
So
in
where are the
Asia,
places? Where are
in
the places that
Europe.
we travel? Right. So we go to Singapore.
Yeah, we went to Singapore.
Never seen one.
We went to Europe many
So yeah,
times.
we were in Amsterdam. We didn't see one
Yeah.
there. We've been in Tokyo. We were in Fukuoka. We
Mm.
were in Miami.
Yeah, but Miami never saw a single Cybertruck in the last 2 years.
Nowhere.
And how many BYD we saw in all of those places? Obviously
Not in America, but I mean
not in
everywhere else we
America.
see BYDs.
We saw BYDs everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So the Cybertruck, that's the innovation from Tesla. My feeling is not like they failed, it's like they didn't try that hard. It was not meant to be a success from the get-go because it's such a failure that you cannot tell me that it was intended to be successful. Like I don't believe that at all. So that's why like it feels to me like they try to do the Cybertruck just to keep people happy, but really in their mind they're already doing something else. Like they were already building something else, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla completely pivots, stop making cars, making maybe does do robotic next, or merge with the space company. But I wouldn't be surprised that they just stop making cars because I think they give up long time ago.
Let's talk about this. Like, why are all these Chinese companies, just to be explicit about this, right? Why are all these Chinese local companies taking market share from BYD in
Yeah.
China?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, part of the reason why is because they're just not innovating. Tesla's competing against. It's not just cheaper cars.
Yeah. No, it's much better.
It's just, but a whole ecosystem of
Yeah.
domestic brands. They're just like building better cars. And again, you've taken these too. Like I've been in a brand new BYD.
It's nice, huh?
I didn't want to get out. The guy was taking me to the airport, and I was like, "Can we just drive to Singapore?"
It's comfortable. It's nice. It really feels like a high-end BMW or high-end Audi, like a really high-end car. Like the seats are super nice, super comfortable. The inside feels good. No, it's really nice, huh? It's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah. And again, we talked about this earlier, but their product breadth is terrible.
It is terrible.
Right. And it's a structural weakness. If you only have a Model Y and a Model 3, like, and both of them are old, who would buy them? You know what I mean? Like, would you buy an iPhone 12 today? For full price, though, yeah?
Of course.
But you wouldn't do that.
No, it would make no sense.
But here's the other problem.
Yeah, tell me.
BYD is also, because there was another headline that I saw that I thought was kind of interesting. And the headline read like this: the US still does not have an answer
Yeah, of course they don't.
to China's EV dominance.
That's why they are blocked.
Say it again?
That's why they are blocked.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they're blocked, right? But here's the other thing that I thought was pretty interesting. BMW last year sold over 2-point-something million cars.
Okay.
And a percentage of those were some kind of either hybrid or electric vehicles, right? Mercedes does the same thing. But again, it's hard to compare because Mercedes and BMW are fundamentally luxury brands.
Yes.
So it's hard to make a one-to-one comparison. BYD is great, but it's not a luxury brand.
No.
Right. And you don't remember this, right? Because you're just too young to remember this. But like Honda never used to make luxury cars. And Toyota was the same thing. And then they started, Toyota, I think, started making Lexuses because they're like, everybody loves our brand. We make really good cars, and we can just kind of rebrand some of our cars and add some bells and whistles and turn it into a luxury brand to compete with Mercedes and BMW. And Honda did Acura as well. And it'll be interesting to me to see if BYD then says, we'll make another brand that uses all these sort of information and knowledge that we've gained from building these cars, and again, add the bells and whistles to make it into a luxury car to compete with BMW and Mercedes or Jaguar or whomever. Yeah.
that would make ton of sense because like I've seen, like so many, like I've seen the development of the European EV market from France, right? Like
Mhm.
just before I left. And once again, like we had the tech, like there were electric cars in France a long time ago, before they were Teslas, right? Like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
had the tech, they had the cars that were like working, right? So they was the first mover into the market. But the main problem to me, like the main mistake that they made was to sell the electric vehicle at a premium. They were
yeah.
like, this is,
I'll get to that in a second, but yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
this is more expensive, this is better, this is like, that's the future, blah blah blah. But back in 2010, there were no infrastructure for charging the cars. The battery were bad, and plus the car were more expensive. So
Yep.
who would buy them, right? Making that was making no sense at all. And so then when BYD comes and just sell you a better car for the same price, then that makes much more sense. So then you just don't pay for the gas, right? So that's
Yeah.
perfect. So that's a huge mistake that they made.
Mm.
If they didn't make this mistake 10 years ago, they could have built the entire network. Because last time I went to France, Michael, back in December, now there is charging stations everywhere. And I
Is
was
there
so
really?
shocked. I was so shocked. I was like, once again, we could have done that 10 years ago with the European brands. Why did you wait for BYD to come to then install charging stations absolutely everywhere, right? And
Yeah.
same with Tesla. Like what once they started to sell Tesla in Europe, there were not that much charging stations. So it's really the moment where BYD entered the market that we started to see all of these charging stations like popping up absolutely everywhere. So why did we wait for this moment? I think that's because the European guys, they made the huge mistake to sell these cars more expensive than the normal car. So very little adoption, and then you have the chicken and eggs problem where you have no cars, so we don't need the charging station. But if we don't have the charging station, then why people would buy the car, right? So
Exactly.
BYD did both at scale, right? And that was a much better strategy. Now BMW and Audi, they do have the cachet, they do have the brand, right? And so that's why I think they are going to be safe, because maybe right now they are little bit down, but they do sell EVs, right? Like so, the day their EV gets picked up by the market, let's say, and because once again the brand, I think they are going to be fine. So to your point, yeah, it would make ton of sense the day Audi and BMW become fine, that BYD starts saying, okay, now we are going to compete with you as well, right?
Yeah.
On these markets.
There's
Completely.
another reason, at least, and I want to get to some other statistics on BYD's global
Tell me.
surge because I think it's actually interesting. But before we get to that, there's another reason why in the United States that there weren't charging stations everywhere,
Okay.
and why, and like, you're right, like the technology was there to do electric cars. Like Tesla did not invent this stuff,
No, 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 no.
but here's what happens
Yep.
in the U.S. The lobbyists for the oil
Hmm.
companies just didn't want to give up because again, if every car is electric, where are they going to sell the gasoline?
That's possible, yeah.
And one of the things I know a guy who I used to work with at Goldman Sachs who founded a company called Evolt, I think it was called. And what they wanted to do was build charging stations everywhere. But what if you go to a gas station, what else is there? There's like a mini shop, do you know what I mean? And a grocery market, like all these little things that go there. So their idea was to build those things just like it looks like a gas station.
Yes.
But in the early days, it was hard to do it. This is why Tesla had to do it on their own, build their like supercharger stations because the gas companies, the oil companies didn't want those things to get built.
And that's probably the same problem in Europe as well, right? There is massive oil companies, and maybe they
Exactly.
just didn't want to be disrupted. But if that's true, Michael,
It's
this is
stupid.
such a stupid move. Because now in Europe, they just allow to sell BYDs. I mean, makes no sense, right? Like in a
Yeah.
way, I understand the position of the US saying we can compete, so you just don't come to our markets, right? In a way, I'm like, okay, fine, makes sense, right? It's not good for the consumers, but from a country perspective, at least that they are trying to protect their own brands.
But
But
the other thing
the
they could have done, Martin, because again, the United States did this in the 1970s and 1980s. when the Japanese started selling really, really cheap cars in the United States, and I want to get to this. Just work with me for a second. I want to get back to the Japanese cars. BYD's April overseas exports hit 135,000 units, approximately, up
Okay.
71%.
Okay.
Okay, it's a monthly record. They're targeting 1.3 million international sales in 2026. That's up 25% from last year. And Chinese brands now hold 56% of the global pure electronic vehicle market. And it's not
Oh,
just
wow.
scale, it's price.
Oh,
The
wow.
cheapest model, again, I don't want to do this to you, that BYD's cheapest EV sells for around $10,000. Okay. And comparable US models sell for 3 times the price,
Oh,
25, 30
wow.
grand.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now,
That's
China
surprising.
did subsidize its EV industry $230 billion between 2009 and 2023. And that doesn't include battery and minerals subsidies. But I want to get back to the Japanese because there's always a way to make things better when things look bad.
Yes.
And one of the things the US, because you had to be there like in the 70s and 80s, people were starting to lose their minds. Everybody wanted a Toyota Camry,
Mm.
except the people that worked at GM, Ford, and Chrysler, because it was killing them because they could not compete on price. And the Japanese cars like kept getting better and better. So the US was like, okay, we're gonna tax and tariff these things. And they couldn't do it enough because the quality was so much better. And then somebody had an idea and they were like, oh, I have an idea. Let's build factories in the United States and give jobs to American workers in Kentucky, in Tennessee. Like and I remember like I know some Japanese kids that actually grew up in Kentucky because their dads worked for Toyota or the parts suppliers. And BYD could do the same thing. So could NIO, so could Geely, so could all these other companies. If they were smart, they would negotiate to say like, we'll build a factory, again in Georgia or wherever, or in Detroit, which is fundamentally where the U.S. auto industry is based.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, China also controls the supply chain around all this stuff, right?
That's where China is super strong, right? It's like,
Yeah,
they have the entire supply chain internally. They know how to do absolutely every part of the process. It's a really strong position to be in.
right. And the most expensive part of any EV right now is the battery.
Yeah.
And China controls the supply chain for the batteries. Because what
Yeah.
goes into batteries? Rare earth.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And they control the supply chain for that. It's the single most important thing. And China is now, instead of supplying batteries to other brands, is just going, no, we're just keeping it for ourselves.
Thank you.
So they went, this is
Yeah.
interesting. Mark. In the last 25 years, Chinese firms went from 3% of global auto sales
Mm-hmm.
to 33% today
Oh, wow, in 10 years.
in 10 years.
Imagine,
Well, 20
wow,
years, but yeah,
that's crazy. That's
it
crazy.
is
But
crazy.
it's not surprising. I mean, it's not
No,
surprising. I
no,
would say we see at least 30% of Chinese cars on the streets, right? Maybe not 30, maybe not 20, right? Maybe not
20%.
20.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
one car out of five, I would say, is a Chinese car right now. And that's really started 5 years ago, right? Like I think just before COVID, we started to see way more. Maybe not, maybe not just after COVID, more like 3 years ago, right? Like
Yeah,
more
yeah.
like
I
three
think it
years
was
ago.
after COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, more like 3 years ago, we started to see like a huge growth in the number of Chinese cars we see on the streets.
But it was weird. It was weird, Martin. Again, I've seen like the whole history of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You used to get off the plane when I didn't live in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come out of the airport, all the ads were for like Japanese cars.
Mm.
I mean, all those gigantic billboards, Toyota, Honda,
Okay.
whatever. And they were manufactured in Thailand as well.
Okay.
And then in between then and now, a lot of those billboards switched to Korean cars, Hyundai, Kia,
Okay.
right? And stuff like that. And now it's all Chinese EVs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true like in airports all over
Yes.
the place on the way in, right?
Yes. But the thing is, I think the problem is that nobody today has the tech to be able to compete with the Chinese, right? So it's not like a
No,
factory problem, it's not a
no, no, no,
supply
no, no,
chain
no.
problem, it's like just the tech itself, right? Like, so it's not something you can fix quickly on. Like,
No. And,
it's
and
not
here's the
going to
thing,
change. Mm-hmm.
you can put a 100% tariff
Mm-hmm.
on a Chinese EV,
Mm-hmm. And
and the
it's still
cheapest model
cheaper.
is still only 20 grand. It's still cheaper than like a Model 3
Yeah, and it's way better.
by far.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even the Ford CEO is now saying that the US government should allow Ford to partner with the Chinese brands to do exactly what I just suggested, which is like, okay, we'll manufacture here, we'll do
Mm,
some kind of revenue share and stuff like that. And that is, it's just a sign of like how large the gap is between what US car manufacturers can actually produce and what the Chinese can produce. I remember it gets back to this other statistic we had. And I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head, but tell me where I'm wrong here.
mhm,
China produces 1.3 million engineers a year,
mhm, mhm.
and the US produces 130,000.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's
it's something like
10x.
10 times more,
Yes, 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 yes.
right? So it's like, how can you compete against an engineering culture, even if you have an engineering culture in the United States, when there are just
Mhm.
like 10 times more people working on it
Yeah.
on average? Yeah.
Yeah, and you know that we said many times, we've said that many times on the show, but I think what's happening right now in the EV is a pretty good demo of the power of China when it comes to tech, right? Like it's huge, and we may see the same thing in the AI space, huh? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
once
Yeah.
they get organized, once they do everything in house, right? Like once they build their own chip, once everything it gets in order. I mean, they are going to be scary strong now. Really, really,
Well,
really, really strong.
so this is the other thing is that the
Mhm.
US government banned, um, I want to get this right. Give me a second. Yeah, it also banned Chinese software in connected vehicles from March 2026. So 2 months ago.
Mm. Okay.
It said whatever the software is that's in a vehicle for Chinese for connected cars, you can't use Chinese
Okay.
software.
Okay. Yeah, but that's right. They banned the Huawei phone, right? Like a couple of years ago.
A long time ago.
But
Yeah,
like,
because they said that Huawei was spying for the Chinese,
yeah,
like they were putting spy chips or whatever into the Huawei phones.
but to look like that's two massive consumer industries, right? Like the phone and now the car, right? And they are both banned in the US to keep the US companies, like away from competing with them, right? So they did that with the phone. Now they do that with the car. AI is even more important than that. Like so I wouldn't be surprised that we see the exact same type of behavior from the US towards Chinese tech when it comes to AI. So maybe Chinese models, maybe Chinese chips, like we are going to try to slow them down as much as we can. Same thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I used to see Huawei phones in Thailand all the time. I don't see them anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened to them. Do they still sell? I have no idea. I never
I'm
pay
just
attention.
looking it up. Huawei, explore the
Yeah.
latest technologies in smartphone with Huawei and check out the Huawei Mate series. Maybe.
Let us know in the
Yeah, so
chat.
it says Huawei is the largest smartphone vendor in China with 18% market share, but I don't think they sell them outside the country, at least not
Oh,
at
really?
scale.
Okay, I don't know.
Mm.
Let us know in the chat if you know better than us. But yeah, I don't remember last time I saw a Huawei ad in the streets. I don't know. But yeah, but let's see how it goes. But I think we're gonna see the same thing with AI. Is
I don't disagree with you.
is we're gonna see the same thing. And China is really powerful. They know really well how to build great tech and scale them globally. And they are so good that the US banned them, basically. Because they can't compete with them. But that's exactly what's happening,
Well, did you hear that when during this most recent trip to China,
Hmm.
the Chinese premier, right? She said the US has to be careful of this Thucydides trap.
Okay.
And because most people in the United States will never understand what that means, he could just say it out loud and everybody just smiled because nobody has any idea. But this is a theory says that when a rising power threatens to displace an established ruling power,
Hmm.
the resulting stress makes violent conflict rather than peace
Hmm.
as the expected
Hmm.
outcome. Kind of a scary warning from China. It's
It
like, don't
is.
fall into this Thucydides trap because we're rising, you're falling. And it kind of feels that like it's weird for us because we live out here
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
anyway. But it's manifesting itself in a bunch of different industries. You can see it in the EV industry.
You can see it in the industry. We saw that into the phone industry, right?
Yeah.
We see
And
it
I think
also.
AI, I think you're right on the AI side as well.
Yeah, we see. But I mean, it has already started, right? Like the US banning the Nvidia chips to go to China.
Yep.
There's already stuff happening. It's not like they didn't start yet. Also, like the Chinese blocking the Manus acquisition, right? Like
Mm-mm.
that's the other way around. So they are already like, starting like putting each other here and there, right, in the AI space. And it's just the beginning because AI really got good 6 months ago only, right? And
Mm.
so now they are starting to be organized. China gonna build their own chip, so it's just going to be like even more dangerous for this Chinese company to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and build better and better models, right? So
Mm-mm.
so I think we are going to see the same thing in AI, the same type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the U.S. car company should have been the leaders in EVs and hybrid EVs.
Tesla was
And to be
first.
fair, even the Japanese should have been, because the Japanese essentially invented the hybrid EV market with the Prius in like
True.
1872, or I can't remember what
True.
year it was. It was a long time ago.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. But Tesla was first, the dominant global player in EV
Yeah. And to be
with a
fair, the
good
Prius
brand.
was an ugly looking car.
Very, very early. Very, very early. Tesla was great. Tesla was that was the car of the future. Everybody wanted to buy a Tesla 10 years ago. They were like on the top, right? Like they were at the top.
Yeah.
They were the best, and then they stopped. They stopped.
Yeah.
So
I mean, my
now,
brother could have bought any car in the world, right? Because he has plenty of money, but he decided to buy a Tesla instead of buying a Mercedes or a BMW or a Porsche or
yeah.
whatever, right?
Hmm,
So that
hmm.
tells you what it was, a status car as well.
It is indeed. Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about Apple.
Let's talk about Apple.
So we talked a little bit, I think, about Apple coming out with this MacBook Neo,
Yes. They
and
announced it
how it
like
was like this really good combination of, like last year's components, but like this year's stuff, and it looked really nice, and it could run everything really fast. It didn't have as many ports. It was kind of like a MacBook Air, but like a better.
yeah.
And
Yes.
this was their
Yes.
kind of low price $599 thing, and it was kind of aimed at some level at Chromebook buyers.
Hmm, hmm.
Because the Chromebook stuff was really cheap, and it ran on, I think it ran on Android.
Okay.
And this was the first Apple computer that they put out that ran on a phone chip. It was an A18 Pro chip.
Hmm, hmm.
Whatever. It comes in 4 colors and blah blah blah. And if you buy it in the education market, it was $499.
Wow.
And the argument here is that, like, why? So what? The headline, I think, is a little bit funny.
It is.
And the implication here is that, again, the headline is just to catch your attention. It's not clear that Google helped them sell a million MacBook Neos. A million is that, it's like in the Bible, if you say like 40 days and 40 nights,
Yeah.
it's a long time. It's not
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
40 days, but everything in the, if you ever go through the
Yeah.
Bible,
Yeah.
I'm not a religious dude, but if you do go through it, it's like 40 this, 40 of that, 40 days and 40,
Hmm,
it's all 40s, because 40 just seemed like a big number.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
So why would that be? It's because back then you didn't live until you were 40. Most people died in their 20s and 30s. So it's like if you made it to 40, you were old.
Mhm, mhm,
So 40 seemed like a big number. Today it's like a million. You know what I mean? It feels like a big
mhm,
number, although
mhm.
billion would have been a better thing, but nobody sells a billion of anything. But the idea here is that Google came out with this new Google Book category, right, which is supposed to replace the Chromebook.
Okay.
And the idea is that, like, I saw another headline that said, like, what is the point of the Google Book? What is it even? And it's meant to be like this new AI native laptop built around Gemini AI.
Okay.
And apparently, I don't know this, right? Because all I do when the years pass, I just go and buy another MacBook Pro, whatever the new chip is, and whatever like
Mhm,
the most
mhm,
RAM is that I get. I don't really think about it. Maybe I should,
mhm,
but I'm pretty happy with like what my MacBook Pros do.
mhm,
The same way I'm pretty happy with what my Mac Mini does.
mhm, mhm.
But Google was trying to according to the stuff that I was reading, is Google is trying to reposition the Chromebook idea as a premium AI first laptop built around Gemini
Okay.
and AI generated widgets, Android app access, phone file access, and premium hardware. And the critique that's coming out is like these features either already exist in some form on the Mac OS and iPhone, right? Because remember, Gemini is partnering with Apple.
Mhm, mhm,
So, like, is
mhm.
the iPhone already a Google Book in some level?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it feels like they're just like AI feature layering rather than developing a new computing model, right? So when they came out with the Chromebook, here's the thing: the biggest problem with the Chromebook was that it didn't have a lot of professional desktop software. So even like your cheapest
Like Adobe
Intel-based
Premiere,
PCs, say again?
Photoshop, like
No, 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 no,
Premiere,
cannot do,
Photoshop,
right?
they don't run on it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I'd like to just give like the underlying facts here. So let's go through some stuff. Google Book is real. It's a real thing. They're really going to release this. Google describes it as a new laptop category combining Android, Chrome OS strengths, Gemini, custom widgets, and all this other stuff. They expect to have premium partner hardware from Acer, Asus, Dell, all the normal suspects, right? And they're expected to launch in fall of 2026. But what Apple did was they went really down market, and they'd never done this before. Like you follow Apple pretty closely too, yeah? They'd never done this before. People have been complaining to Apple for literally for decades. Since the original iMac came out, they're like, why not make a cheap machine?
Yes.
And they didn't want to kind of cheapen the brand, but they finally did this, right? They launched the MacBook Neo, $599, A18 Pro chip, which is a pretty good chip. I mean, you and I talk about this all the time. It's not an M chip, but I mean, my Mac Mini, we're on M5 right now.
Yeah.
My Mac Mini's M2.
Yeah. For super
It's
well.
3 generations away.
My Mac Mini that runs all of our AI is M1.
I
It's
know.
like
So
the
my Mac
first
Mini
one.
in the other room is an M1 as well.
Yeah.
It's not running OpenClaw. It's not running any AI stuff. It does feel a little lonely on its own over there. But it's not struggling to run anything either.
No.
And the A18 Pro chip probably came out after the M1 chip.
Yes, yeah. The A18 is what? It's the one in the phone, is in the iPhone 16 or 17?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But even if it's in the iPhone 15 or 14, it definitely came out after the M1.
It's into the iPhone 16.
Yeah, so that's pretty recent, 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
It's super fast. And it's got a liquid display. It's got Mac, it runs Mac OS. It's got iPhone integration, and it runs for 16 hours of battery life. And I would say this, Martin, my MacBook Pro, which runs, I think, an M4. I think I bought it last year before the M5. I don't remember, but it's got like a Pro chip in it. It also runs for like 12 or 13 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. So what they did with the Neo is they were like, this is a direct, and they'd never done this before, a direct attack on these like really low end Windows PCs. It's the first time Apple actually went into the price sensitive market, and it was working. But what they're saying now is that for the first time in a while, actually, PC shipments are actually up.
Okay.
Yeah, 4% year over year in Q1 2026.
Okay,
that
nice.
surprised me as well. And part of the reason why was because everybody saw these memory constraints coming and the chip constraints coming, and so they bought a bunch of stuff, and now they're selling that stuff out. And as we know, like RAM is getting more expensive, and PCs are becoming like the default narrative here. Here's the thing, though. Part of the problem is that this Google Book is like not a good product.
Okay.
So when people are looking at the low end market, like again, you have to understand the headline is not that Google actually helped Apple sell another million of these Neos. It's more just like people looked at the Google product and were like, I'm not buying that thing. The MacBook Neo is there now, because before people had to say, should I buy a MacBook Air, which was still expensive, yeah? And they definitely weren't buying a MacBook Pro, so now they were stuck buying like a Windows machine. But since the Neo has way better reviews than all these Windows machines, people are like, I'll just buy the MacBook Neo instead. So the interesting thing here is that they're saying this release of the Google Book, that's such a weird name. It's so weird the way these companies try to copy Apple so much, right? They just call it a MacBook. Like Google Book, does that sound like a real thing? It sounds like a parody thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's true. It's a really weird name. Yeah, I agree.
So the real question is, because the Chromebook advantage in and of itself, because this is a replacement for the Chromebook, right? It's just been price, really.
Okay.
It was cheap. It was easy to manage. It was cloud first, right? Because there was no real storage on it. Everything was stored on Google Cloud. Okay. And it was pretty easy to understand for like schools and parents and the real people that were using it, but it was never used for business. And Google Book was meant to be like a premium AI laptop, and it's just confusing for people that would go out and normally buy like a Chromebook.
Okay.
And instead they're going out there and just going, I'd rather buy a MacBook Neo because it feels like a real computer.
That's
Say again?
Yeah, but it's very funny that you launch a product, you want to compete with your competitor, but people don't understand what you do and you do it bad. So then they go buy your competitor because you convince them that the idea is good. And so then they're like, okay, cool, I want that, but not from you, basically.
Because people, but people are looking at this and like
Yeah.
their emphasis, the sales stuff, the sales like
Mhm,
pamphlets and stuff are emphasizing contextual AI and Android integration.
mhm,
It's not clear to people like why that is important.
mhm. I, I, I I mean, Michael, like, really, since ChatGPT in November 2022, right? Just after that, there were so many ads for AI PC, Intel AI PC, blah 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 blah. Since like, and it has never been clear to me what an AI PC does.
So go ahead. I was going to ask you, what does it mean even to have an AI
Exactly, it
PC?
doesn't mean anything. Like, I mean, I have a PC right now that I use. It probably has some AI feature. I don't know where they are, and I have no idea what they are doing. But in terms of marketing, they have used this thing of AI PC, AI feature since 2022 already, and it's not clear at all what it is doing, what is included, what can you do? Absolutely zero, right?
Hmm.
So to your point, that's the problem, right? Like, so they said it, they use it for marketing, but from the consumer standpoint, we don't even know. And from yeah, I would even say from the user standpoint, we don't even know because I have access to it and I don't know where it is, right?
Yeah.
So no, they have tried to milk the cow, I would say, on the AI thing since quite some time, and it's still unclear, and we still don't know what they're doing. Yep, no idea.
Yeah. And again, if you're selling this computer as like an AI computer,
Yeah,
I can use Gemini on my MacBook Neo,
exactly.
right?
You can use Gemini
So
online. You go to gemini.google.com and it works.
that's my point though, right? So like it's not
Yeah,
like it's exclusive just to the
no,
I don't even know what to call this thing. A Google book
no.
sounds like the dumbest name
But
possible.
look, it's a huge missed opportunity or not, or an opportunity that they didn't take advantage of yet to actually integrate the AI agent harness directly into the O- OS. Because now, if you build the harness directly inside the OS, because you are Google, you have Gemini, you have the OS, and you also build the machine, and now it can be really, really cool. Because now maybe you can do you can, yeah, instead of basically waiting for Cloud Code or Codex to rebuild all the integration with absolutely everything, just do it yourself, right?
You talk about into the Google book.
Yeah, yeah. If the Google would build an harness for an AI agent or orchestrator, building all the integrations very nicely by themselves without
Hmm.
waiting for somebody else to do it,
Yep.
then that's a completely different story, right? Because now you can have probably like a very nice chat interface where you can ask your agent to do stuff for you on your computer with all the access properly set up, right?
Right.
And that's basically what Cloud Coders are building, but it takes them a lot of time because they need to build every integration one by one, and probably also they are dependent on Google Drive giving them API or giving them an MCP server. So you can't build everything by yourself, right? That you need
No, no,
access
no.
to something. But because this something belongs to Google, they have the access already to everything. So they could build the agents and have all the access without testing anyone and be so much faster.
But you're the expert on this, right? But has
Mhm.
Google built their own agentic AI
Yes,
infrastructure?
they have anti-gravity
Oh,
that they
right.
launched a
So
long time ago,
anti-gravity. What a
actually.
weird
Yeah.
name. Whoever's doing the naming at Google should like get another job.
And I
But have
think,
they
Michael,
built their own harnesses as well?
I think so. So anti-gravity is Cloud Code. That's the same thing. That's like OpenAI products what they
Yep.
launched first. They launched long time ago. Like they were on the market a long time ago. Let me check the exact dates, Grantarity launch dates, but nobody knew about it until November 18, 2025. Look, they were 4 months before OpenClaw. But nobody
That was the
knew.
harness they launched in 2025.
Yes, yes. November 18, 2025. And we did, and the only reason why I know is because you could use Google anti-gravity logins, like OAuth way to authenticate in OpenClaw. And because we have access to Google Drive, like super expensive plan, we have anti-gravity for free included into the plan. And so when I started to use OpenGlow, I was like, oh, they have something called anti-gravity that I can use inside OpenGlow. That's the only reason why I know about it. So which means like I don't know. Apparently, that's a good platform,
I was gonna say, but
but
have you used anti-gravity?
I've never used anti-gravity itself. I've used it just to log in inside
Right, right,
OpenGlow.
right. But you've never tried the harness into
No,
their
no, no,
agentic
no,
AI stuff, yeah?
never. But they have one. They have one, and so to me, it feels like a huge missed opportunity. Maybe they are too slow, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe it will come. But if I were them, I would look into basically you don't do anti-gravity anymore, or you do anti-gravity for the people who are not on Windows, or on Google OS, and you just integrate that directly into the OS. You do something super nice, super
yeah.
sleek. You integrate with everything super nicely. You have access to all the apps already, so you don't need to ask the access for anyone. Or even better, you. I mean, no, you are on Google Android, so you can do that. But if it was Apple, they
Mm.
could force all the app to integrate an MCP layer that fits some criteria. You know, like you
But all
just
this, but
force
all
everybody.
this stuff you're saying
Mhm.
sounds really great,
Yeah, I
but
would
they
do that.
didn't do that.
They didn't do any of that. So maybe
That's my
that's
point. So
coming.
it's a massive
Yeah.
missed opportunity. And
Yeah.
here's the other thing, Martin,
Mm,
is that just as Google made a decision to take their sort of low end product and make it
mhm,
premium,
mhm, mhm,
Apple went the other way and
mhm.
did this like premium build product that
Yes.
has access to the entire Apple ecosystem. That from a phone perspective, not just can run phone widgets, but actually mirrors the phone, which is a
Mhm,
different thing to do. Like I sit down on my Mac Mini sometimes, and I see like my phone pop up on the screen.
mhm, mhm,
Do you know
mhm,
what I mean? Because I literally have access to my phone, not just
mhm,
to the widgets that run on the phone and aren't connected to it, but my phone literally runs on my not on my laptop,
yeah.
on my desktop.
Yeah.
But Google runs the whole ecosystem, and Android can run widgets on your Google Book,
Mhm,
but can't mirror the phone. So they've gone in like opposite directions, just as Google, who owned kind of that cheap end of the market,
mhm.
said, we're going to go premium now. Apple was like, awesome, because we're going cheap. And our product
Yeah.
is better because now you have access to the entire Apple ecosystem. Where on the Google Book, which again is really hard to say.
Mhm, mhm,
I always thought Chromebook was like a dumb name too.
mhm.
Um, you don't have access to the entire Google ecosystem because you don't have access to your Android phone directly, which I think is weird since they own both of those operating systems.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but I think yeah, like one of the biggest questions I think to me as well is what does the future of AI look like in a way? Because like Apple have talked a lot about running your own model locally, like
Locally, yeah, yeah, yeah,
trying to make the even the phone or the computers like good enough to run these models
yeah, yeah.
locally. And if that really happens, that is going to redefine a lot the computer market because it if it works and if it's good use case, then every computer will need enough compute, enough RAM, like enough cheap GPU to do this type of thing, and probably also like we will see much more nice integration between the AI agents, the model, and the hardware itself, right? So maybe we are like in a transition phase, because that doesn't work yet, but maybe it will get there, right? So maybe we are like in a weird moment in time where
Mm-mm.
we need to see first what's the evolution of AI, like what does an AI computer look like actually, right? And we
Yeah.
don't know, and we don't have the answer to this question yet. And so maybe that's not the time for these big companies to actually invest too much into making two great new products, because everything may change with AI, right? And right now we don't yet have the tech, right? Like we talked to a lot of cheap manufacturer, like really interesting conversation with them, and there's a lot of development in this space, right? Like it's an ongoing thing, and it's growing, and I think this is going to also redefine a lot the computer markets once we know better how
Do
to
you think
play.
so? Do you really think that AI is going to decide this laptop battle?
If it becomes local, I think a lot of things are going to change. Yes, a lot of things are going to change, because right now you can't run a model locally because the hardware that you need is way too big. Like you need to invest so much money into hardware.
Right. So I'm gonna make a really
Yeah,
controversial point here.
tell me.
Apple has the better brand
Mm-hmm.
equity when it comes to building
Hardware.
computers
Mm-hmm.
and hardware. Yeah, hardware is a better word. They definitely have better brand equity.
Yeah.
Google has better brand equity when it comes to building AI.
Yes.
But
Yes. Yes.
Google
Yes.
has
Yes.
an agreement with Apple to give them Gemini
Yes.
and anti-gravity. But Google does not have an agreement with Apple to take like to be able to manufacture the iPhone, the MacBook, and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, you're right. I think Apple's probably going to have the edge, particularly because because on a Google book, it's so underpowered.
Yeah. But what
There's
is it?
no way they're going to be able to run it locally. And
Yeah.
Apple always has been more concerned about on-device security
Yes.
as opposed to Google, which is just like Android, it's open. I mean, figure it out yourself kind of thing.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
always
Yes.
been their modus operandi. It's just like figure this out yourself. And Apple's just been like, don't worry, we'll figure out the security for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying the Android devices are insecure, but I'm just saying that like
They pay less attention to it. Yeah.
they pay less attention because they want to have it open and customizable and all this other stuff, right? Whereas
Mm-hmm.
Apple's like, no, we control the device and we
Yes.
want to make. They actually have chips just for security.
Yeah.
Their T series of chips, I believe, are just the ones for security, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as far as I know, Google does not put that into Android phones.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting, right? You're right. This on-device thing is actually really going to matter.
Yeah, if it become real, so once again, like right now we are really, really, really far from it, right? Like I don't think we are going to be
No,
to
I think you're
see
right.
this type of stuff anytime close because once again,
No.
to run a model today, you need so much GPU, so much RAM, right? It's just so
Yeah, yeah.
expensive, right? So once again, we are really and to be able to go down at price point of like 500, even $1,000, even like $2,000 price points. I mean, we need like to divide all the cost everywhere by 10. Like right now, we are much, much closer like a $15,000, $20,000 price point to be able to run a model that would be not even as good as what we get from Cloud Opus or GPT 5.5 for
Right.
$20 per month, right? So it makes no sense, really. It makes absolutely no sense. But if it starts to become real and we start to be able to put models locally, then what does that look like in 5 years, in 10 years, right? So maybe in 3 years because the pace of growth is so fast. Um, let's see, because once again, this is going to change absolutely everything, I think. So we need to see a bit more about AI
So I'm going to
first.
say something that's going to sound slightly controversial to people that may not understand this space.
Mhm.
But when we were at AI Engineer in Singapore
Yeah, yeah.
last week, I had a conversation with the head of research at Cerberus System,
It
right?
was it was just yesterday, Michael, not last week. It feels like
Was it
last week, but
yesterday?
you spoke to her yesterday.
Was it really yesterday?
It was yesterday, yes. I know it
It
feels
feels
like
like a
last week.
month ago.
Exactly.
I
No, no,
spoke to Daria yesterday.
you spoke to Daria yesterday, head of research at Cerberus. It was an amazing conversation. But it was yesterday.
Oh my God. I really did not think it was yesterday.
Which, by the way, people can find it on our ATP channel, Asia Tech Podcast. You can search that on YouTube. You go to our live, the last live of AI Engineer Day 2. You will find the conversation that we had with the head of research at
So I'm going to
Cerberus.
digress a little bit, but I'm going to say, like, I feel really honored, and I feel almost like we're starting to take it for granted now. Like, just the level of people that we're being able to
Yes,
speak to. Like,
yes, yes,
she's the head research scientist at Cerberus.
yes, yes,
So we
yes, yes,
spent all
yes.
this time on ATP on AGTP talking about Cerberus, their IPO,
Mhm.
the investment that that OpenAI made into them.
Yes,
And then last week, or yesterday, as you would say, this
yes.
week, to be fair, since Sunday's this week, we spoke to the head research scientist there. And one of the things we just getting back to the on device thing.
Mhm.
One of the things actually that came out of this, because this is a question that I ask people all the time, is are we going to get to a place where instead of having large language models, we have different types of models,
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
more agile,
mhm.
smaller, faster? And one of the things that Cerberus is optimizing for is this MOE, this mixture of
Yes,
experts, where
yes,
you have
yes,
this really large language model, but every piece of the model falls into a category of expertise.
yes.
And instead of having to call all of the parameters, because some of these now have 1 trillion parameters,
Yeah.
Like, just get your head around that, 1 trillion params, yeah?
Hmm.
And because of that, they end up being slower than they might be and less efficient than they might be because it goes through the entire parameter stack
Yeah.
first and then
Yeah.
comes up with an answer. But if you do this MOE thing and you tag stuff, like I would just recommend everybody go and watch this recording that we did with Daria
Hmm.
because she's first of all she's brilliant, but second of all she's so brilliant that she was actually able to explain this stuff in terms
Yeah.
that I could understand. And I think that everybody that watches the video can understand. But the point is that like if you can then do use some of the technologies that Cerberus is building into their wafer sized chips so they can attack problems in a more efficient way, mixed with this mixture of experts
Yeah.
methodology, you may be able to get stuff on some of Apple's chips as well
So
to be on device. Sorry, go ahead.
So actually, I would say the opposite. I would say if we go the mixture of expert routes, it's very unlikely that we get stuff locally. Because what is doing, because the MOE architecture, the way that I understand it is that we are going to be able to have massive models, like really big ones,
Yep,
but we are going to be able to activate only the part that we want. But we
that's
still
true.
need, to save and to host the very big one, right?
Yep,
Where
go ahead.
the small models with the vertical models, the idea is to have like a small one that can fit on a small device, basically. So,
So can I just push
yeah,
back on this a little bit? I think we
go
may
ahead.
be saying the same thing.
Okay.
But my feeling is that once you get to a point where Cerberus has sort of optimized their chips to do the MOE stuff,
Yeah.
and then people start to understand how powerful this mixture of experts is, that most people don't need a trillion parameters. And that the model development is then going to say, okay, instead of having a trillion parameters, which sounds super cool, because
Yeah, you're
my
right.
it's like a parameter size, it's like you size
Mhm.
me up, like your gun's bigger than my gun kind of thing.
You're right.
In reality, I don't need a bigger thing. Let's just make it smaller. Let's just have what's in the MOE for that vertical thing, and we'll put that on device because that's the thing that you need.
Yeah, or we can see like a type of hybrid approach. Like instead of having like a billion parameter, no, sorry, a trillion parameter, we do like a 500 billion, and be thanks to the MOE, then we just activate the 50 billion that we need at any time. But storing the
Exactly.
500 billion
Yeah.
on the MacBook Pro is doable. You know,
Exactly.
like
That's the
so.
point I'm trying to make, right? Because
So
the model by definition is going to because here's what happens, Martin.
yeah, so maybe like a
You
mix
have a
of
million
both.
parameters, you have a billion parameters, and you have a trillion parameters. Now you're like, we don't need any of this. Let's
Yeah,
just have smaller. That's
yeah.
what's going to happen. I think it's going to go in reverse because what are you, 10 trillion parameters? Like it's ridiculous.
So, also, Michael, while you were talking about that, I was looking online. The most famous models today that use the MOE architecture are the
Mhm.
Chinese model. Like, do you remember like when DeepSeek
Yep. Yep.
was released,
The
and
beginning
they
of
said,
2025.
and that was in 2025, and they said that they wiped out like $1 trillion in valuation, right? That was the first
Right.
MOE model. That's why basically we were like, okay, we get a way more efficient way to do AI, basically. Okay, since then, DeepSeek, Minimax, all the recent releases of the largest Chinese model all use MOE models.
Which makes
Okay,
sense, right?
then Cerberus is an American company. So I was like, they are not building chips for the Chinese model. It
No,
doesn't make sense to me. So I checked. Anthropic does not do MOE. Okay,
naturally. Not
that's not
yet.
the way that they are optimized. Maybe not yet, but
Yeah.
OpenAI does. So the latest GPT models are also using an MOE architecture, which
Interesting.
made ton of sense as OpenAI invested 10 billion into
Cerberus.
Cerberus, right?
Yeah.
So what's interesting here is that you have these guys who build a chip that is optimized for this, right? You have the Chinese who are also using this architecture, and the only one who look like they are not doing this is Anthropic, right?
Interesting.
It looks like so are they not doing it yet? Are they late to the party, right? Because it's true that OpenAI has been way more prepared for the compute war, all right? Like they bought compute, they invested into compute like much earlier than Anthropic,
Yeah.
and Anthropic has much more compute constraints as of today, but also the model does not work the same way. They don't use an MOE architecture. And now it looks like there's a lot of people who use the MOE architecture. So that's why like I'm really curious, why is Anthropic working in a completely different way? And now Cerberus is not going to sell them cheap. I don't think so. That would be
Stupid.
very surprising.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So I don't know, but like all the film that we see on the hardware side, to me, it looks like OpenAI is going to be in a very dominant position next. Like they are the next really big winner because they look like on the hardware side way more ready
I
to.
feel I feel like it's day-to-day dependent. Like, I feel like we could, you know what I mean? Because like 3 days ago, we were having this conversation where it's like OpenAI's dead, Sam Altman's gonna get fired.
Yeah,
And
but on the
and
hardware side.
what I thought about doing today was like Cerberus, not Cerberus, excuse me. Anthropic actually finalized. Remember before they were like, we're not going to raise any money. Don't
Yeah.
put our arms behind our back and blah blah. But I was going to do our third story today as like they've actually confirmed that they're going to raise $30 billion at a $900 billion
Okay.
valuation.
No idea.
They
Okay.
have
Yeah.
this thing with like $30 billion.
Yeah, they
Do you
just
know
leave
like
it.
do you know like when you go to the bank, you
Mm-hmm.
always take out the same amount of money. You're like, I'll take
Mm-hmm.
4,000 baht. It's all. It's not five. It's not three. It's like 4,000. Do you know what I mean? Like it's always the same.
Yeah.
No matter what you're going to pay for, you're like, I'll figure it out with 4,000 baht. I think not Service. Why do I keep saying this? I think Anthropic does the same thing. They're like,
Yes.
we don't need 40. I don't want 25. Let's just do 30. That's our number. Whatever valuation you want, we'll take $30 billion.
But yeah, so that's why, like, I think all of these things combined, right? Like, I think when NVIDIA, when Cerberus maybe is going to make chips for the consumer as well tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Like, all of this is going to converge, I think, right? Like, and now we are in a phase where AI is not accessible on device yet, right? Maybe that's the next step.
Mhm.
It's gonna take some time to get there. If it does get there or not, right? Like we have no idea. But I think there's a lot of things going on, and that's going to change the entire market, and maybe for phone as well. Maybe if Apple is right, and we start to have local LMM on our phones, maybe it's gonna also change the chips and change the design and change tons of stuff as well, right? So.
So, I mean, I don't like making predictions, but I will say this. As I always say, I still think we're at early days in this thing.
Mhm, mhm,
I don't think we're at the final stage of like having the right models or the only models and the only models type in excuse me, in architecture. The
mhm.
chips that Cerberus is building, and again, I was talking to Daria about this during our recording. The GPUs were not purpose built to
Yeah,
do
yes.
artificial intelligence. They just weren't
Yeah.
purpose built for it. They're good at it, but they're
Mhm,
terrible at inference. They're too slow.
mhm.
And again, I highly recommend people go back and listen. People go and listen to this. I know it's not AGTP, but it's part of the same family. She did a really good job explaining why the chips, the wafer style stuff that Cerberus is building is way more efficient because you have to split the data,
Mhm.
and that's the roadblock here.
Yes.
So you have to split the data because you now have to use, let's say, like 10,000 GPUs.
Mhm.
And you've got to split the data in a way that makes sense to get all the right data in the right place to do the GPU splitting. Whereas if you use their wafer style chips, you have to send the data to one place
Yeah,
or fewer places. Let's just say that.
yes. That's going to be super interesting. And all of these developments, like, depends on what we are going to be able to build on the CPU and GPU side, right? Like
Exactly.
it's completely dependent on that, right? So
Mm.
all the future tech, all the future AI, all this future software that we are going to use depends on how the chips are going to work. Like that's it, right? Really, it's the one thing right now that's the most important, and that's the largest question.
But also think about this: if you think about how much more powerful the M5 is than the M1,
Yeah.
then how much more powerful is version 5 of the Cerberus chip going to be than today's chip?
Yeah, exactly. So that's
right?
why we have
And then
no
what kind of
idea.
model can you build and what kind of inference can you like all this other kind of stuff is just going to radically change. And I think it's going to
Yeah.
change really, really radically, actually.
And also, like, also, I'm going back to this idea, but I love the idea of fine-tuning the models, right? Like tomorrow, we could imagine like a local model that is fine-tuned automatically based on the new data that you get into your business.
Yep.
Like when you get a new email, then the model just know about that, and we remember because you're able to just fine tune on the fly, right? And if you can do if in 3 years we can do that type of stuff, it's gonna change completely the way we use AI. It's going to unlock completely new use cases,
For
which
sure.
once again is going to define how we interact with AI through the interface, which is the laptop, right?
Mhm.
So that's why I think everything's going to be dependent a lot on the development of AI.
Can I make one more point before we finish
Sure.
up? Because I'm not sure we have time for the again. Um, we can do it if you want, but I want to make a point because I thought it was really interesting actually from our experience at AI Engineer.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that came out, one of the sort of results of every conversation that I had that with people that were involved in the technical side of like building our artificial intelligence and the model side as well, was that when the big models were built, right, when Anthropic was built and when OpenAI built ChatGPT, and Martin, you introduced this topic as well on the show a while back. Like they didn't know what they were building.
No idea. Yeah, no idea.
Well,
And I
they
think
knew what they were
actually,
building, but they didn't know what the use case was going to be.
yeah, and I think everybody agree with that, right? Like I've said
No
that
one's
to
no one said
to a few
no, no,
people.
no. We actually knew what we were
Exactly.
doing. Everybody was like, "Yeah, well, you're right. We're just building these models because we thought they were useful. We thought transformers were going to be useful for something, but we weren't 100% sure what the
Yeah.
best use case was going to be."
Hmm.
And remember, even the guy, what was his name? Andre, come on,
Charpentier?
yeah. Remember, not him. Who's the other guy that actually built Claude Code?
I don't know his name, but
You
yeah,
know what
I
I'm talking
see.
about? That
I
other,
see. Yeah,
the
I
other.
see.
Can we just call him the
Yes.
other guy
Yeah.
at that Sequoia event? God,
Yes,
I
yes,
can't
yes,
remember his
yes.
name.
Yes.
Boris
Yeah, Boris, I don't remember. Sorry, Boris.
Turin or something like that. That guy.
Okay.
But one of the things he said was that Cloud Code was built by accident. They were just, messing around with some stuff, and they're like, "Wait a second, this is actually starting to work. Version 2 was better, version 3." And then once they got to like 3 point something on it, yeah, then it was
Yeah.
really amazing, and now it's like insane. But one of
Hmm.
the questions that I asked everybody at AI Engineer at some point was, okay, we sort of serendipitously ran into this idea that these large language models could be great at coding, not just code completion, but coding. Right. And we
Hmm.
spent a lot of time talking to Nick at Cursor about this, and he was like, it blew his mind that it could do this.
Super great conversation as well. Super
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Sorry to be cross selling all day, but like it was just so interesting. It's in my head, right? And it was
Yeah.
only a week ago that sorry, it was
Yeah.
yesterday. But was Nick yesterday? Nick was 2 days ago. Boy, it feels like a month ago. Anyway, but the point is that like I said to them, now that we see that there is this massive use case in coding, what else do we think we can unlock? Right? Because you just
Hmm.
mentioned this. If you build these better chips,
Yeah.
if you don't do MOE, but you get these smaller, more agile models, right? And if you can do inference faster, then you should be able to unlock other use cases. And again, I asked everybody that I could, what do you think the next really powerful or like fast growth use case is? And all I
Hmm.
got was a bunch of shrugging shoulders.
Okay. Hmm.
I
Hmm.
did. Everyone's just like, we don't know. And it's interesting, right, for us to see, because we're really close to this now.
Yeah,
No?
yeah, really, really close. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I mean, I don't
really
know if
close.
anybody's had more conversations with more companies that do more AI than you and I
Yeah,
have had.
yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I mean,
Right. So
we've been
we're really
following the
close to it.
news. We've
Go
been
ahead.
following every news major. We've been talking to people building AI on every level of the stack, right? Like from the
Yeah. Yep.
infrastructure to the software to the
The data centers.
distribution to the data centers as well. You talk to Akamai Cloud,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody across the stack, and we also build AI ourselves. So also we also
Yeah.
use the tools that we
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about, right? So I think we have a good understanding of what's going on.
So, but because of that, we get to talk to like some of the most prominent people in the
Mhm,
industry.
mhm, mhm.
And it's interesting that they're not 100% sure what the next use case is going to be.
Yes, 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 yes.
Right.
Mhm, mhm.
And that I find fascinating.
So what is the next use case for you, Michael?
Oh, so I think it's travel.
Travel, okay.
I do. I think it's travel because I think it's so fragmented and so
Mhm.
broken.
It's so broken. Yeah, it's really bad.
So
It's
Nick and I
really
were
bad.
having this conversation about how he was writing some tools to manage his own travel.
Mhm.
And again, I go back and listen to that conversation because we did record that part of it. And it was actually super interesting. He's built some really cool stuff, of course, using Cursor to do it. And again, that's why I asked him, is this the next big thing?
Yeah,
Because right now, even some of the big OTAs, without naming them, it's still kind of clunky,
it is very unclear.
right? And if you can solve that,
Mhm.
because imagine building an entire agency infrastructure that solves all your travel problems. Sorry, I'm closing my eyes because I'm just imagining what it would look like. And then connecting it or embedding like insurance and payments into it in a way that made sense. Because look, you and I have had plenty of experiences where we've used the OTAs, we get to the hotel and you're like, it's not paid for,
Oh, you think you
right?
paid online, but it's not paid online.
But you know what I mean? So, but that's what I mean when I say it's broken.
No, yeah.
And
But
and because the OTAs have become so dominant, and good for them, they built a decent business model. It means now that the ability to do personalization in the travel space is hard because you don't have a direct relationship with the people that
with
are
the
actually
hotels.
giving you the service.
Yeah, we have the hotels, the airlines. Yep. Hmm.
So that's one of the reasons why I think that travel could be the next big thing. And it feels counterintuitive, right? Because the first use case was highly technical.
Yeah.
It solved a really big technical problem. And I read something actually pretty interesting, Martin, today when I was on X. I was rooting around on X today, and one of the guys wrote. He said my first impression when I saw Claude Code, when I saw Claude Opus, and when I saw Codex was that this is going to take away every job for an engineer.
Hmm.
And he
When
said
you.
I was completely wrong. What
Hmm.
I realized was that the automated coding stuff did not take away. Sorry, what did he say exactly? I want to get this right. It didn't take away like all the creativity that went into. It didn't make coding faster. It made typing faster,
Yeah. Yes.
right? And even if that's the case, and I think I was looking at this, Martin, in the context of what was going to be our third topic of like what are the new jobs and what are the jobs that are being created and
Yeah.
taken away. And one of the things this guy said was, I mean, I guess I could find the comment that I made because I just said I completely agree with this, and this is something you and I have been talking about for a while.
Hmm.
It doesn't take away a coder's ability to write code. It just takes away the coder's ability to necessitate him typing out that code.
Yes. I think that look, we've been to AI engineer, we've talked to a lot of people building with AI right now. You can see the difference between what a vibe coder is able to build and what an engineer, a software engineer, a senior software engineer is able to build with AI. It's night and day, right?
Yeah.
Like the guys who know about tech, they completely amplify themselves exactly for what you just said, because now instead of having an idea taking 10 hours to build it, you have an idea, you ask the agent to do it, and then you work on the next idea, right? And now you have time to actually iterate on your ideas, like build something else, think about what's next, and just build all of these things way faster, right? And also
Yeah.
iterate and test. And so that's all, like all like, for example, I think Nick at Cursor is a really good example, right? That he's been a software engineer for over 25 years, and he is able to do way more than he was doing before, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not less. And AI makes him much more busy than putting him out of job. And I think that's the main sentiment of all the people that we have met, right? Like everybody's like, "Wow, we can do so much more things right now," rather than I'm going to lose my job.
So I want to give you the direct quote if you don't mind. I found
Hmm.
it. Is that okay?
Yep, go ahead.
I'm going to completely butcher this guy's name. He's from Prague, and his name is Mark Ajenstad. He's
Okay.
probably crying right now. He's the founder and the chairman of Limestone Digital.
Okay.
And here's what he wrote. It was part of a longer post, but I want to read this because I think it's pretty interesting. He said a lot of the code that they write at Limestone Digital, they write in an automated way. But
Okay.
every line of that code gets reviewed, restructured, or rejected by a senior engineer who decided what should exist before the agent ever generated it. Like the agent didn't come up with the idea to write the code. The
Mhm.
agent just wrote the code based on the idea. And he writes, AI replaced typing. It didn't replace thinking. The engineers who thrive aren't the fastest coders. They're the ones who can read a 200-line AI-generated diff, meaning the code, and spot the 3 edge cases that the model missed. They're the ones who architect before they prompt,
Mhm.
and they're the ones who can tell you why a piece of code shouldn't exist before they explain how to write it.
Yeah.
And he did say, I want to go back to the beginning of his post. For a year, I told clients the leverage was in the tool, but the original story was simple. AI is an output multiplier. He's like, I was wrong.
Yeah. Oh, I finished. I saw this post. I remember that. I remember that. Yes. No,
Anyway, so
I
I think
completely
that's
agree.
interesting. I don't know how we got to that, but we did get to it. Um,
No, I completely agree, and so that's why like we're gonna see way more and way more AI pilots into companies, right? Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
need
yeah.
people to implement AI, to pilot AI, to worry about the data, to worry about the governance, to worry about the NHIs. Like we are going to need people who are able to help non-technical people to implement AI because not everybody is going to be able to implement AI at the same scale. And so when you have, like a big department of your company that you want to amplify, these people need some help, right? And so this is where the AI pilot comes in to actually build the tools, help the people to adopt AI way faster than they would do on their own, and really amplify the entire organization instead of just amplifying one department, which right now is mostly the developers. But next, we are going to see everybody amplified thanks to the AI pilots. I'm sure about
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we can talk about this a little bit if you want.
yeah, yeah. Let's go.
Let's do this, right? Because I think it's like in this context that we're having right now, like I think it's actually important. So AI companies aren't just changing how people work.
Yeah.
Um, they're changing what jobs exist. So new titles are appearing on org charts all across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are happening at these AI companies, right? It's happening. And here's the thing. Mark Zuckerberg came out, remember a couple of months ago and said, we're going to lay off people in May,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
8,000 people. And we're going to
Mm-hmm.
spend the money. He goes, it's not that these people are bad at their jobs or like we're not making enough money. It's just that I'm going to take the money that we were investing in these people and invest it in machines instead.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And he was very explicit about it. It's weird to get up at a town hall and go, 8,000 of the people in this room,
yeah.
saws. It's like, sorry, not sorry, but you're gone kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's what he did. And then he confirmed that again today or yesterday. I can't remember.
Okay.
And GM was doing the same thing. They cut 500 IT jobs while simultaneously creating 250 AI positions.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I are right on this. And again, we had these conversations at AI Engineer as well
Mm-hmm.
last week. And that is that a lot of jobs are going to get cut, but a lot of
Yeah.
new things are going to get created. And one of them, again, according to this article, is like the AI storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like a sort of a silly, sort of extraneous title, but the idea here is we got to explain to people what we're building.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like when the spreadsheets came out, it was pretty obvious what they did because people had been doing like
Yeah.
spreadsheeting in other ways before that.
Okay.
It was very yeah, because they just didn't do it on a spreadsheet. They did it on a piece of paper,
Mm-hmm.
but they wrote
Mm-hmm.
it out in different cells. They calculated it and then they added it all up and then they summed it and did some
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was pretty straightforward, like what those things were supposed to do, particularly when they first came out. But here's the other thing: Anthropic is hiring a Claude evangelist, according to this. Yeah,
Okay.
and literally it's literally the face of Claude for the startup world. And the starting salary for this, just so you don't think it's like some $14,000 a year job,
Tell me.
240 grand,
Okay.
up to
Okay.
315 grand.
Okay.
Okay, but wait a second. The average U.S. director of comms makes $106,000.
Oh wow. Okay.
So they're paying more than double that for their comms managers because they're doing more than communications.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they have to communicate stuff to people, but they have to communicate stuff to people that's pretty complex,
Yeah.
right? What's a harness?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like this stuff's hard. And
Yes.
FDEs. We talked about this last week, but like FDEs,
Mm-hmm.
forward deployed engineers,
Yeah.
is arguably like the hottest job title in AI right now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is the highest leverage, right? Like you are Anthropic, you put an forward deploy engineer into a big corporation and you help them implement AI. Like the potential upside is massive, right?
Yeah.
It's just so huge. But you see, I think here there's really two things. I think here there's the external communication, make people understand what AI can do, like okay, what are the possibilities and things like this. But then something that I really realized that is not trivial at all, which is what is the best or like what is the best structure to implement AI to solve this problem. Let me give you an example.
Yeah. Explain because I'm not
Yeah,
sure I understand.
like right now, a lot of people have used AI through chat, right? Like, so you go to chat GPT, and
Yep.
maybe like what you do is that you copy your data, you put your prompt, you get your result, and you copy paste your result somewhere else, right? That's how people have been using AI a lot up until now, right?
Yep. Fair
But
enough.
then since we got AI agents, that unlocked, I would say, level two of fixing your problem. That's what you asked me this afternoon. You were like, Martin, look, instead
Right.
of copy pasting things, can we just put a button that get all the data there, and then I get my answer there, so we get the exact same output, but fixed a better way, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
so this type of transition is not simple at all, because now you need to think a completely different way, and now this is like a IT like it's like a structure problem, right? It's like, how do we structure the data? How do we structure the code? How do we structure everything to use AI in the most efficient way, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's level two, but then you have level three, where you put cron jobs, and you automate the whole thing, and then the AI, if he has question, he asks you questions, and he remembers stuff, so you just answer him once, but then he knows, right? Like that's a whole another level to once again use
Yep.
AI at the next level, right? And this type of thing is really, really, really hard, because you really need to have a lot of knowledge, first of all, into AI, what it can do, how it's structured, and
Yep.
how you can best use it, but
Yep.
also a lot of knowledge in tech itself, to know what is a database, what is a server, what is a cron, what are all of these things, right?
Yeah.
So even if the head of marketing somewhere say, okay, I want to use AI, he may not know what is the best way to use AI, or what are all the tech tools that are
He might not even know the
valuable.
choice. You know what I mean? Like
He has
the
no idea.
options he
Yeah.
has.
He has no idea. And I don't think you can train a head of marketing who should be focused on marketing to learn all of this tech stuff, because it's really deeply tech, right? So,
Right. So this is why
mhm,
this gets
mhm.
really interesting, because the
Yes.
FDE is thought about as
Yeah.
this external facing thing,
Yes. But,
but
mhm,
but and their average total package can be anywhere like to from 238,000, again according to this
yeah.
article, from 238 to like 600 grand.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But what some companies are starting to do is, yeah, that's great for external,
Hmm.
but then they have this thing called an AI accelerator. That's internal.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And this
Okay.
is
Okay.
exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
That's why I want to mention this, because it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like an internal FD, but they're not forward deployed. They're
Yeah.
internally deployed,
Yeah.
and their job is just to push other colleagues to use AI.
AI.
And can I give you an analog example of this?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm. Hmm.
when I hung up the phone with you today after we talked about this,
Hmm.
it reminded me of something that I had done like 30 years ago.
Okay.
Okay. When I took this new job at Morgan Stanley, like after I'd been there for 6 or 7 months in Tokyo,
Hmm.
some guy had written this, like what he called an amazing spreadsheet in Lotus 123. This is, again,
Okay.
it's going to sound weird to people, but Excel was the new thing, and Excel gave me access to Visual Basic.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know how to program,
Hmm.
but it's Visual Basic. So what I did was essentially what you I smiled when I hung up the phone with you today, because I had done the exact same thing for this thing.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
sat
Hmm.
down and I wrote step by step everything that I wanted to do. And then I built a spreadsheet that did that. And then I used Visual Basic to go and get the data, do all the analysis, do all the calculations, put everything in the right place. And I literally turned that from a 5-hour job into a 15-minute job,
Hmm.
because I did the workflow thing first, which is exactly what you asked me to do today.
Yes. 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 Same thing.
Just give me step. And I literally smiled when we hung up the phone. I'm like, I feel like I've done this before. It was
So
the same
you see,
thing.
so
Same thing. I didn't know how to use Visual Basic, but that was the best tool that I had. It's the same way with today.
So what's really interesting here is that the methodology of building tech is exactly the same at the end of the day, right? Like
That's what I'm trying to make.
there is no difference. So that's why the high tech knowledge are so important, because
Yes,
the methodology, like there is a best method to do something with tech, right? And that
sure.
methodology doesn't really change. Like the core tools of like how to do a cron, how to do a database, how to do all of these
Yeah.
things, this is still exactly the same in the age of AI, right? Like there is no difference at all on how we host servers in the cloud, on how we store data, on how we call the AI. It's exactly the same, right? So So that's why like all of this methodology requires knowledge, requires experience, right? It's not something that you can just learn very quickly, and really define how much you benefit from AI. There is like a massive gap, right? Because look, if you can turn a 5 hour job into a 15 minutes thing, it means that now in 5 hours you can do 10 times more, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, which means now you maybe use AI at a very low output, but once you optimize the architecture around AI, so not even the AI itself, just the architecture around how you use AI, now you can benefit from AI 10 times more, right?
Right.
And so that's why like, this is so important. And I really see right now that this as a growing gap, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because not everybody has access to the tech knowledge, to the core tech knowledge that are that are important to actually be able to build this big architecture.
Exactly.
And if I can give you one example also for me, like when I met with the OpenAI team on Friday morning, my only
Last week,
yeah, 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
But my only question for them was about architecture. As in,
Yeah.
I had no question about AI itself or the model itself. I was just like, look, what is the best way to architect, to set up the IT architecture to solve my one big problem here? I just want to talk about how we organize the tech setup because I know how to implement the
Right.
AI, but to
Right.
really go to
But
the next
without the
level.
proper setup, you can't actually use the tech to be able to accomplish the thing you want to accomplish.
So you can, but at a very low benefits. What I
That's my
want
point.
is I
Yeah.
want the top of the top. I want to use AI at the maximum, at the fullest, right? Like I really want to get all the benefit out of AI, and to do that, you need a proper architecture, basically. And I didn't know how
Exactly.
to do this proper architecture. I mean, I have an idea, but I wanted to see if they had better ideas, right?
Did they?
And no, they didn't. Like I had,
Don't tell anybody.
no, don't tell anybody. But I really saw that as a growing gap, right? Like people may want to build apps, they may want to vibe code, they may want to do all of these things, but you only benefit from like a little bit if you are unable to really do the very big architecture that's
Yeah.
necessary. And so that's why like all of these new jobs are so necessary because if you have somebody in your company who can either help you or do it for you, that changes absolutely everything, right?
Right. I mean,
Because now all of a sudden,
I was
yeah,
essentially the Excel accelerator. I was the internal
yeah,
because once
exactly.
people saw what I did, they're like, "How did you get access to that data?" Because we
Yeah.
literally used to have to type it in off a paper report, and
Mm-hmm.
like I told you, flip the report over and go to the next
Yeah.
page. It was just riddled with mistakes because it was human input over like 100 pages. I was like, I'm not doing that. Is there literally? I went to the IT guys and I'm like, is there any way you can just give me that data in a thing and I can just put it in the spreadsheet automatically? And
Yeah.
this guy was like, sure. No one ever asked. Anyway,
Exactly. So I prefer the job title of AI pilot. I think it's nicer,
I know
but
you're like, this
that's the same
you're trying to
idea.
patent this. You're trying
I
to
talk
patent
about
this.
AI pilot all the time, but
Copy whatever it's called. You're trying to copyright that. I don't forget the word, but yeah, you're trying to do it yourself.
but yeah, but that's the same idea, right? And for sure, this is going to be a massively important job role tomorrow. For sure.
Okay. Let's end here.
Yes, I think we should.
Okay. That's it for AGTP Daily today. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. There have been some pretty consistent people watching the entire time. We
Yep.
really appreciate them and people commenting as well. Thank you very much for your comments as we go live. Give us a thumbs up on today's video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on all of our socials on X, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. And as we always say, let us know in the comments if you have any questions or any comments for anything that we're doing. We'd love to discuss the things that you care about during the show. We'll be back again tomorrow with good bandwidth, no pixelization, nice looking backgrounds. The microphones don't change much. At 11 a.m. Eastern time, my name is Michael Waits. That's Martin. He's amazing. Everybody, bye for now.